Yeah, this is a mess. Absolute mess. We knew the teak on this boat was in pretty bad shape, but quite honestly, we were really hoping that giving it a good scrub would breathe new life into it. But the truth is, it is just too far gone for that to be enough. We're kind of to the point where we're not just refreshing it, it's really a restoration. The teak is in such bad shape that grooves are horribly deep. The caulk is, what do they call it? Proud, when it kind of sticks up on the top and it feels lumpy. We are going to restore this teak. It's not a ton. We have it in the cockpit and down to the sugar scoops. If it was all over the deck, like all on the foredeck, oh gosh, there's no way. This process is long. But step one is to take a razor blade and trim off those caulk lines. I'm GERI.
I'm Shawn, and this is our not currently sailing catamaran, Rome. We've taken on a huge refit involving every system on the boat, turning her into exactly what we want.
Let's jump back into the episode to see what project we're tackling this time. We had hoped that giving our teak a makeover would be enough to tide us over until we could decide on a more permanent replacement, and until we had a little more budget to carry out whatever choice we made. Sadly, that wasn't the case. In some areas, the glue was failing and the teak was just peeling off, and around the deck fittings, the surrounding teak was cracking and causing leaks. Upon closer inspection, it became obvious that our only option was to take it out and start fresh. That ended up being way tougher than we anticipated.
Well, you know, I said to grab the hot part.
Good choice.
Much better.
Bit by bit, we began to take out the teak. It was a challenging and often frustrating task, made even tougher by the fact that some areas were hard to reach, such as the transom alley. Additionally, many spots required a lot of kneeling in uncomfortable positions. In certain areas, the teak nearly came off on its own, while in others we had to pry, pound, scrape, saw, and use just about every tool we could think of to get it off. Evaluating the damage to the gel coat and fiberglass as we moved along was quite unsettling. It was clear that we would have a significant number of repairs ahead of us. What began in Guatemala has progressed sporadically for almost 2 years, and we've been working on removing the teak in between more urgent projects throughout the entire year we've spent on the hard. We refuse to stay in this boatyard indefinitely, so now we have to accelerate our efforts.
Can you see this mess? This is all leftover adhesive. So we've had to remove the teak. The adhesive underneath it is failing. It wasn't like full pieces of teak, it was like a teak veneer, and the adhesive was getting all bubbly and sticky in between, so it really needed to come off. It's a real mess, and I'm having a really, really hard time getting the leftover adhesive up. It is an absolute catastrophe, and I'm not really sure how to do this. I've tried scraping, used a razor knife in some places, and the truth is the thing that seems to be working the best is soaking it in acetone and then letting it dry, because it dries it out so that I can peel it up. But even that's not a foolproof method. I can't quite get all of it because I'm kind of at a loss. I think if we can't get it up, we're going to have to sand down the gel coat and the non-skid and then redo it. And quite frankly, I just don't want to. I don't know how to get this clean. No. Shit. This would be easier if I didn't have to do it while hanging off the edge of the transom walkway. There has to be a better way to do this. Like, truly, there has to be a better way to do this. So if this looks extremely tedious, it's because it's extremely tedious. Time for some new tactics today. First step, scaffolding. And it's really very cobbled together makeshift scaffolding. I've got two 10-foot ladders with a board through it, and I'm all the way up at the top. But it's a lot sturdier than I expected. It's just the getting on and off that's a little questionable. My knees and my shoulders and my back and my everything was really complaining about how I was sitting for the last 2 days trying to do this.
This teak has to come up. And we've been prying it up and cutting it up and using a torch on a putty knife and sliding the putty knife underneath to try and cut through the glue. Now we're gonna try something new. I got a heat gun and we're gonna try heating up the boards and see if we can get the glue hot enough that it'll pull away without tearing the boat apart. The problem we've had is that every time we've tried to lift it, if we don't cut it somehow first, it tears up the gel coat and then we have a big fiberglass repair. So we're gonna try to do this without making more work for ourselves than we already have. I'm just not optimistic anymore.
Well, given how much effort you've already put into getting this teak up and how badly it's gone,
Yeah,
there is no good reason for optimism.
that's how I feel.
I know. We have a nice warm day. It's a little windy. I'll probably take these off. No, not really. And even though I've got inside work to do, I'm going to take advantage of the weather and work on stripping off the old adhesive from the teak. There is a lot of work to do. There's a lot to cover. So kind of as I get days that are workable outside, I'm going to try and do this. It's a lot to get through, and I just can't do it consistently. But today, yes, let's give it a shot. Okay, what are the chances? None of it's just gonna rub off. How about this? Okay, I've got a bad feeling about this. The adhesive is connected a lot tighter, I guess, than anything I've done to date. I'm gonna move on to chemicals and see if I can't work some of this loose. If not, we're gonna wind up using a belt sander, I think, and literally stripping off the gel coat, which leaves a bigger repair. Just what we wanted, a bigger repair. Something's gotta work though. Okay. Oh, yuck. Well, several hours later, lots of elbow grease. We've decided that we can't salvage the gel coat. Did everything I could to keep it as intact as possible, and it's just not working out. So instead we will come at it with the mean tools, like the angle grinder or the belt sander, or I don't know, something much more aggressive than my little wire brush, some chemicals, and some elbow grease. Let me give you a peek at what it actually looks like, and then you can see why we're not going to be able to salvage this. Okay, so this gray stuff is some kind of epoxy that was used to hold down the edges of the backing board the teak was affixed to. And there's a whole bunch of fiberglass holes. The discoloration in various places is just ridiculous. If we were to try and salvage this, actually making it look reasonable again is just probably more work than it's worth. So we will scrape it all off and do something else.
Not very long ago, I saw a clip on social media, I think it was on Instagram, of somebody pulling up teak decking on their boat using a Rotohammer. And my brain went, wah, or maybe it was, wah, I don't know which side it was, but it was a, wow, why didn't I think of that? That makes perfect sense. And so we rented a Rotohammer with a big chisel bit, and we're gonna see how this goes pulling up teak with this. We've worked on this so hard, it's been such a pain in the butt. And we think this might end up being a little bit easier to get the teak off. A lot less pounding and a lot faster.
Last night we rented a Rotohammer so that we could try and get the rest of the teak up and figure out what we're going to do with it. And that was an absolute resounding success. So happy. Shawn got the rest of the teak up. The Rotohammer was way too heavy, way too big, and required basically all of his strength. So I had no prayer, forget it. But in about 4 hours, he got the remaining teak up. And now it's my turn to work on sanding off the non-skid. I have a problem and I need your help. So you see this edge here where there is this really thick caulk or adhesive or whatever you want to call it. Anyway, I can't get rid of it. In some cases where we've worked on this before, so up here, I got off as much as I could. I used a magic eraser wheel thing that was on the drill, and that worked pretty well, but there's still an awful lot of it left, even in the areas where I've done a bunch of work already. So if you have taken up your teak and have found a good way to get rid of that adhesive edge, hit me up in the comments below, please. We're basically in real time at this point. So whatever hints and tips and tricks you can give me, I would greatly appreciate it, and we will certainly use it. Okay, let's let this serve as your PSA for the episode. If you have teak on your boat, take care of it. Take care of it from the beginning. If you do things like wash it regularly, and razor knife off the proud caulk lines. And if a piece is rotten, replace it right away. If you do, your teak should last for a very long time. And if you don't, then you're stuck with what we're doing.
If you watched all the way to the end, leave us an emoji in the comments so we can thank you personally. And don't forget to hit that like button. If you're enjoying our content, consider subscribing to our channel. It's a completely free way to help our channel grow. See you next time. Bye!